Well, hey guys, welcome back to my shop. You know, one of the most common questions I get is, why have you picked DeWalt tools? Like, what's so great about DeWalt tools? And today I want to give you 4 reasons why I've gone with DeWalt for the last 25 years. Let's get into it. So 25 years ago, I got my first drill driver set, and I have not looked back since. We use tools all the time. Obviously, you can tell I'm in my workshop right here. We use tools all the time, not only for building projects in the workshop, but all around our property, our homestead. And we're always designing things, building sheds, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so over the years, I've come to really appreciate DeWalt tools. And, you know, they go back to 1924 so that's over 100 years now. They've been in business. And now they have 7 U.S. manufacturing facilities around the country. Now, of course, like most brands, they have their parts oftentimes made in all over the world, different parts in the world, but a lot of it's manufactured here, which is nice now. So anyway, I want to give you some really concrete, real reasons why I think that DeWalt tools is a good way to go. They're not sponsoring me or this channel, maybe one day, but they're not sponsoring me, so they're not paying me to do this. But I want to give you my reasons why. But before I do, if you're serious about being a provider and protector for yourself, your family, and your community, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. With that, let's jump right in. As you can see, I've got a lot of DeWalt stuff around the shop. And just to give you a couple quick ideas here, before I give you those reasons, is something like this is so nice. And because you got these sets, I can just take these with me. They're portable, they're stackable, they're lockable, drive set, socket set, wrenches, that kind of thing. So, I mean, obviously things like that are nice, those kinds of tools. Got some saw blades there. But all of these kinds of tools, here's just a newer, I shouldn't say in the last several years, drill, shop vac, which is awesome. Use that to clean out vehicles and equipment oftentimes. It's got a bunch of, I don't know, drill bits, that kind of stuff up here, tap and die sets. Got my 4-foot level, 2-foot DeWalt level. They're nice because they've got a magnetic side on them. Some of the stuff like this nail gun here, I left out in the rain forever. And so this is a really nice pneumatic nail gun. I used that to build this barn. All these boards around the walls, I put all those on with this nail gun. And of course, these saws come in super handy. I've used this to build rafters for a building. And that was nice because it has this little hook right here, put on your belt. Of course, different other kinds of saws here, and angle grinder down here. There's a planer. So on the batteries, so you can see this battery bag right here. Here's just a bag full of batteries. And here's my charging station over here. Got the clamps are awesome. Charging station over there. So I just throw all the batteries, of course. I got these newer, I think from 2022 or something like that. I can't remember the year. These newer power stack batteries. And I like these kind of batteries. Here's like a 5 amp. Has a button right here, so you can push that and see what the battery charge is on there. So things like that, super, super handy. Up here, got a DeWalt heater, 125,000 BTUs. I got a video on that. But, in the wintertime, we pull our goats, some of our goats and other animals in here. We need to heat this whole place up. Well, that does it. Pretty awesome. One of my favorite things in the shop is this stool. You can adjust it up and down. So I use this stool all the time when I'm sitting in here. I've used it in a lot of videos in here. Of course, you got this chainsaw, which has really come in surprisingly handy. I've always used Stihl chainsaws. I still do, mostly. But there's a lot of times where I don't want to deal with fuel or gas, and I'm driving somewhere. Nice to throw something like this in. Again, throwing a battery or two with you, and you're good to go. So I've actually been surprised how often I use this. Blower here, always blowing out the shop, front porch. Even things like the trimmer, weed trimmer. And of course, here's a big chop saw. What I'll do is I'll take this card, if I'm doing a lot of sawing, I'll just roll it right out there and get this, this power cable, put that out there. By the way, this is also nice. Got a video on this where it's just a 50-foot air hose, right? Comes down here, and so I can put different attachments on the end. I can fill up tires, do projects. Because it's 50 feet, It'll stretch the length of this 36-foot barn here, which is nice. I just have it going down to an air compressor down there. So, you know, all of these things. Oh yeah, here's a welding table, which again, I've got a video on that too. But sometimes I'll just take that welding tape. If I want to do some projects outside, nice day like today, I'll take that outside and do some work out there with it. So guys, you know, all around my shop, I'm always obviously using these tools. When I'm going somewhere on the property, across to our pasture or sawmill or something, I take my side-by-side here, of course, full of tools, but this just goes with me everywhere. Kind of my everywhere bag, and of course got my impact driver and other DeWalt tools. I love these. Got a 25-foot here and a 16-foot down there. These little atomic measuring tapes there. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna stop. I'll stop with that. But I just want to give you an idea of some of the stuff that I just really find useful often around the property and in my shop here. But here's the reasons. Here's why I believe that DeWalt tools are just good, high quality tools. And again, this is just my opinion, my experience. I would love to hear your thoughts, your disagreements down below. But number one is reliability. I've never had a DeWalt tool fail on me. And again, we use them all the time, and I've never had one, you know, in the middle of a project or something. They just always seem to work. And again, you're probably going to think of an example in your life that is not the case. But in my experience, I've never had one fail on me. So reliability. The second one's very similar to that, and that's durability. I can't tell you how many times I've dropped a measuring tape, dropped my impact driver, dropped a DeWalt tool, and it still keeps working. So there's a durability piece to it. And for a lot of those things, you know, they have, like for example, this kind of rubberized stuff on here, and you can just kind of tell, like it's very durable. So dropping that, again, I've dropped, especially my impact driver, dropped that a lot. So reliability, durability. Third reason is the transferability. That's a word, right? Transferability of the batteries. Now, this is true not just for DeWalt, but for, you know, Milwaukee, other brands out there. So this is not going to be just for DeWalt here, but it is nice, isn't it? I mean, if you need to take a bunch of tools and you're doing a project somewhere, just take one or two batteries and you can just interchange the same battery with, you know, with all of them. So whether it's, you know, I could take that battery, put it on the saw, you know, this chainsaw there, and all of these here have the same kind of battery, you know, system. And of course, there are different sizes of batteries and all that. But to be able to do that is just really handy. What I do not recommend, so if you do go with like Milwaukee or some other brand, you know, I'd recommend just going with the same brand for all of it, just because it'll save you money in the long run, because, you know, you don't have to buy the multiple batteries for each brand. So that is nice. But that's certainly something, you know, with these other reasons here today, that is really nice, is just to take, you know, one kind of battery and then use that for all of your tools. All right, so the fourth reason is just the intuitive design. I've noticed when I've used other brands, the design itself isn't as intuitive for everyday use. So for example, just let me show you a couple examples. I mentioned these kinds of sets here, that they can not only lock here, they can go together, they're stackable. Of course, you got a handle. They've just thought about a lot of things. I mentioned earlier too, this, I know we're just kind of walking around here for a second, but you know, this measuring tape. So the idea, like on the bottom, where your hand goes, your finger, I can slowly, I'm trying to do this one-handed with the camera, but I can slowly kind of let that in like that. It's just, I don't know, it's just little things like that. Intuitive design. You know, this one's not so bulky. This is a 25-foot, right? But take a Stanley Fat Max, all right? Look at the difference. This one fits your hand way better than this round thing. It doesn't fit as well, I don't think. It's not as comfortable in the hand. as something like that. So little things like that for all their tools that I've noticed is just really, really handy. You know, you get this little vacuum thing here, and the controls obviously are easy turn on, off. It's easy to take the filter out. They just made the user experience, I guess that's at the bottom, you know, the end of the day, the user experience they have in mind for their tools. So probably because they have users that are designing them. I think it was the founder, is it Robert DeWalt, that invented the radial arm saw. And he was a user. And so I think the intuitive design that I have found, again, my opinion, I have found really handy, really nice. They just thought about the details for users. So, well guys, let me know what you think. Maybe there's a brand out there that you like better. Now, is DeWalt the cheapest, most affordable? No, it's not. There are more expensive brands out there for sure, but in that way, it's maybe just a great value, just because you're combining good quality and price. But again, it's not going to be the cheapest, these tools. But tools, you know, no tools are really that cheap if they're going to be good quality. So obviously, DeWalt makes a lot of hand tools, screwdrivers, hammers, like that kind of stuff as well. But guys, yeah, let me know what you think. If there's another brand that you prefer and why. I mean, so if you say a different company or something, then drop that down below and then let me know why you prefer another brand, because I'm always on the lookout. You know, maybe I'm wrong on all of this and I've just been wrong for these 25 years and I need to switch to something else. And so, you know, prove me wrong, you know, give me some good reasons. So anyway, guys, hope you are doing well today. And thanks so much for your support for us, for our channel. We'll see you in the next video.